Hi, my name is Carola, and in today's video collab with Hannah, we're talking about how we learned English, French, Spanish, Latin, Japanese, and Dothraki.
Hi guys, my name is Hannah. I'm American and I'm from Texas and I'm living in Hong Kong right now, but I plan on moving to Japan. My channel is Postcards to Texas. It's about tips on living abroad and tips on learning a language. Right now the language is Japanese.
I had English as my first foreign language, and then I had French and later Latin. And as an adult, I learned Spanish in one class in the Adult Education Center. And I taught myself Dothraki, the Game of Thrones language. My next project is that I want to learn the basics of Irish, because I'm going on vacation to Ireland soon. And that's why I'm testing the apps with Irish.
My native language is English, and my second language I'm learning is Japanese. I was in school, I started learning Spanish first.
So in school, I had English in 5th grade, and then French in 6th grade, and Latin in 9th grade.
I feel like the way we were taught in high school wasn't really that helpful because the students really didn't take the teachers seriously, and I don't know, it was public school, so it's not really, I think they just wanted to get it done, get it over with, just to have that credit or something. Because they just give us a textbook, be like, you need to read this, do these pages, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then they didn't really go into depth with it in the classrooms.
My school experience was much better than Hannah's. Our school focused on languages, and so we had a language assistant and a teacher. And even in the first year we had to do little plays, so that we had to speak English in front of an audience. And then in 8th grade we got an English teacher who did spontaneous and unannounced vocabulary tests every Monday. And so I would end up spending every weekend in front of our little 368 computer. And there was a DOS program that worked with our Green Line book, which let you learn vocabulary, and you actually had to type it down. And that helped so much that my English got way better.
I'm working on Japanese right now because we are going to be moving to Japan. So these are literally all the books I use. I have a basic kanji book, Genki workbook, Genki textbook, and I have a little notebook I use to test my vocabulary on. And then I have a Japanese language bullet journal. So for this one, what I'll do, so I write down all the vocabulary, right? And then I write down all the words I know, and then I write these little brackets on the ones I need to work on, and then test them during the week. And then I have this Genki textbook. It's like a Japanese grammar, all that stuff. It helps teach you grammar. It has little exercises in the book. Vocabulary, all that good stuff. Yeah. And then it has a workbook that goes with it, and it has more exercises where you can practice what you learned in the Genki textbook in the workbook. So yeah, and it also has audio you can listen to and answer questions with. Yeah. So and then I have this kanji book. It's pretty much teaches you kanji through pictures, and you have exercises where you have to write out all the kanji, and it shows you the two ways to say the kanji, and yeah. And then I just repeat over and over. Yeah. And then I have my Japanese language bullet journal. So what I'll do is I'll write down my goals for the year. I have yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals, and weekly goals. And I'll write those down. And then each month I'll have like a daily planner thing that I do. And then on this one I'll write down like all the things I want to do for the week, and then my goals for the week. And then I'll write down how my italki lessons go and the homework for italki lessons. And then I'll write down the new vocabulary I need to learn. And then I'll write down what I've learned during the week. And then just repeat every week.
The issue with learning Latin in a German school system is that it was only required to be learned passively. So you would get the Latin text and then you had to translate it into German. And we never actually had to write down the Latin word. And by now I know that I learn words best if I have to write them down. But of course in 9th grade I just thought, oh, it's easier. And that means that if I see a Latin text, I can probably say, okay, this word might mean that, and I can see what it might mean. But I could never produce a Latin text. The Spanish class was in an adult education center, and you were supposed to learn on your own time, and there was not much pressure. There wasn't an exam in the end. You would just get the certificate that you had been to all the classes. In the end, I realized that I need much more pressure. So I had planned to sign up for the Institute Cervantes, but I never did because then I moved to France. And I was recently on vacation in Spain, and I tried to use the words that I had learned during my 12 weeks of Spanish, and they answered in English. So in order to learn Dothraki, I had a book with grammar and vocabulary, and I had an extra vocabulary list of all the 3,000 words that exist in Dothraki. And then there was an audio CD which helped with the pronunciation.
The app I found that helped me the most is Quizlet, which is an app to help me learn the vocabulary, because sometimes they're really awkward ways to say the words in Japanese, so I use that to help me remember the vocabulary. Sometimes they have pictures on there that kind of help you with flashcards and stuff. If you're just looking for a vocabulary place, Quizlet is really good because it's made by people who are learning languages. So you just go in there and go look up, like for me, I have used Genki textbook to learn Japanese. So what I do is I'll go on the Quizlet app and look up Genki vocabulary words for lesson da-da-da, or Genki irregular verbs for this lesson da-da-da, so that I can just specifically what I want to learn.
I did the 3-day trial with Rosetta Stone, and the good thing was the voice recognition. So it forced you to say a sentence correctly. And the disadvantage of Rosetta Stone is that they're only using target language. So at some point I did a grammar lesson and I put the phrase together correctly. So I got the point, but I didn't know what the translation meant exactly.
I also use italki, and I learn with a local language speaking teacher of Japanese. So she speaks Japanese and she teaches Japanese, so as her first language. So I do that, and she gives me good tips and stuff and what I need to do to learn the language, all that. I use this app called Hello Talk. It's a kind of like a social media app for language learning. So it'll have a feed of people in your target language that you want to learn talking to you on your feed, and then you can post pictures and talk about them in the language you're learning, and then you can ask people to call them, to text them, things like that, and then you can have like a little language exchange thing, which is really cool. That's more whenever you're a little bit know a little bit more than beginner.
So I tested Duolingo with Irish, and because you only had to click onto the words and you never had to write them down, it never really stuck.
Like, if you're gonna learn a language, you need to learn by doing, not by just writing and memorizing. You need to learn by your brain figuring out how everything works and then spitting it back out. Like, you can take so much in, but then when it's spitted back out, it's not really gonna work. Also, my textbook that I use has a workbook and audio attached to it, and then I try to translate the audio and write it down.
I feel it helps a lot if you're starting to write down text right away, and then you realize, okay, I don't know how to say that, so I look it up. I look up this specific problem, and then I find a solution, and then I know exactly how that thing is said. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you like the collab, then please go over to Hannah's channel and comment under one of her videos and subscribe there.
Thanks for watching. Matane. Sayonara. Goodbye.
See you next time. Bye!